Hello and welcome to session one, day three of the Amplify Her Virtual Summit. We have been running with this event, and I'm so excited about all of the amazing things happening. If you've been tuning in, then you know we've had some incredible powerhouse women, and today is no different. I'm telling you, you are about to get a double dose of wisdom, wealth transfer, I like ideas, so much strategy. I already know today's panel, every panel has been fire, but I'm telling you, just get your notepad ready. So our first guest coming up, she is such a powerhouse. She was actually a leader for Amplify Her Mics and Mastermind in New York. She has started her own sisterhood that has spanned the globe, and she has truly a heart for women and helping to empower you, helping you stand on your story. So first, I want to welcome Yasmin. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. It's
Yes. So
amazing.
can you tell us just a little bit about yourself for those that may not have connected with you before?
Absolutely. So, my name is Yasmin Duncan. I'm the CEO and founder of the Sisterhood Society for Women of Color. We are a safe space community for women of color, particularly Black women, to support and giving them resources, tools to thrive, not only in their personal, but also professional lives.
I love that. And you embody that. I think it's just so powerful. And that
Yes.
makes me even more excited. I'm like, y'all, this panel is going to be so good. So, our next guest that I'm about to bring up, we go way back. Like, I love when I get to reconnect with people that we just like go back, like back to like elementary level and seeing how she has been able to impact her community. She has been featured on multiple media outlets, um, thriving like best under every age category you can put out there. She's like showing up as the best. She is talking about buying back the block, like all of the things that I feel like we need to have access to, especially as women, and even more particularly as women of color. So, welcome with me to the stage, Dr. Elaine Brunson. How are you doing today?
Awesome, awesome. And I just want to return the introduction. I mean, I'm super excited to be on the panel with Erica Latrice, back from the sandbox, and just to see the woman that she's developed into. So the love is the same. I'm super excited to be here. I've been watching Miss Erica work with the Amplify Her movement for years. Like, I saw her, I believe when I first realized that she was getting national attention was maybe like a Huffington Post back in the day, Huff Media. I believe I just saw you in different medias nationwide, and it's been like at least a decade. I'm thinking that you've been consistent with the same movement, and so I'm just excited to be on your platform and witness the woman that you've become from the sandbox.
Listen, I feel the same. I'm gonna share like a really fast story. But I still remember I was in elementary school and someone like sis was getting media back then. I think you were doing something like in the band or something, and you were in the newspaper, and we were not at the same elementary school. And I remember someone telling me, like, you remind me so much of this person. You got to meet her. And then we got to middle school, and then I met you for the first time. And yeah, I'm like, it's just so crazy how God can bring things full circle. So that's just a testament to the grind that you got and just your heart for people. So can you tell everyone that may not have connected with you before a little bit about you and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so recently I became Dr. Elaine Brunson for Christian Business Management. And also, like, I did a back to back graduation. I also graduated from the HBCU Morris College for organizational management. And that has been the best experience ever because, A, it's the first time I ever went to a HBCU. If my father and my grandmother were here, they would be super shocked because I remember vividly at both of their graduations telling them I would never go to an all Black college. And here I am, third generation, just graduated. So I'm super excited. Have a lot going on in life and in my personal development. So organizational management is just perfect, not only for my personal life, but being in the business world. And outside of school, I'm a real estate investor. That's actually what brought me back to South Carolina. Like Erica, I did leave. This is like a very, very small rural community. Sometimes I pinch myself see, like, are you really back in Sumter? But I was in Palm Beach, Florida for about 12 years. And when I got the opportunity to be able to afford real estate, South Carolina at the time was a more affordable market. And so I came down here right after the recession. Well, probably the first recession we all experienced as adults, which was, in 2008. So I came home and I took advantage from real estate in the foreclosure market and things of that nature. And so now real estate in South Carolina is booming. Prices are out of the like just like what they were in Palm Beach back in the day.
Mm.
South Carolina is now up there. Sumter actually just was featured in Forbes list in one of the top 5 cities to come to in South Carolina, and it was number 3 right after Columbia, which uh, was number 1 city in America to flip a house. So South Carolina is booming, and I heard you say female entrepreneurs in real estate. That is part of my message that I'm passionate about right now. Women, period, make up 32% or less of all real estate investors. And then Black women, we make up less than 5% of that. And so it's really, really important that we try to consider, getting involved with real estate. And that's me. That's my story. That's where I'm at.
Yes. Well, we're going to be talking all things real estate because I know that there is so much power in having multiple income streams, and life happens, and you talk about that. The recession and things can come up and they can come down. And I believe that we're in a season right now where we can experience that surplus if we're mindful of it, if we tap into it, if we partner with the right people. So much can come from it. So I want to talk about first the power of collaboration because I know that like firsthand to the point if y'all go to amplifyher.net, click on store, we have t-shirts that say I do not compete, I collaborate because
Yes.
there's so much power when we come together. So I want to start with you, Yasmin, because you already know you are the queen of bringing connections and
Yeah.
bringing people together. So when it comes to launching out in business and showing up as our best selves, what tips do you have? Like, what's that inside game strategy that you have to help people build more authentic connections?
Absolutely. When it comes to building your connections, start with your internal network. Who do you know? Like, I always had a passion and a heart for women to want to serve women and work for women, but I didn't know exactly how that would come about. Professionally, I work as a chief people officer in human resources, and I've done that for 18 years. So even though that's what I do professionally, and there's a lot of tools I can pull from, to support women, how do I do that in a real way? And so when I finally decided to launch out my platform and start a nonprofit organization, I tapped into my network. And I was surprised by, wait, you do what? And you do this and you do this. Can you help me? So the sisters came to help the sister. Okay. And so literally in my network, having Black women who have written books, right? Who've started movements like you, an international movement, right? Or have helped women out of various disadvantaged situations. They're resources to me, right? Like the Sisterhood for the Sisterhood Society for Women of Color. We want to provide resources to women, whether mental health, menstrual management, fibroid management, education, how to level up at work. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I was able to give resources by tapping into my network that provided those to me so that I can share for my platform. So I think that ultimately that's the best place to start, where you already have relationships, and or if there are people who are in your network that but you don't have relationships with, build those relationships, start reaching out, because that's a good exercise for you to get out of that uncomfortable space of, oh, I don't really want to talk to people, I'm nervous at networking events. You have to put yourself out there. So why
Right.
not start with who you know?
Oh, I love that because I think like some people have the pressure that they need an audience of 10,000 plus before they
Right.
can really make those connections. And you said it. Like I remember I share this a lot because now I'm like, yeah, the traffic is amazing. But I remember when I had about 5 to 10 people coming to my website and I handpicked all of them, like, Mom, can you go click on the link? Telling my sister, like, hey, go click. And growing, from there. And it really started with just being an opportunity for other people.
Mm.
So Dr. Brunson, I feel like like Yasmin, you have epitomized like even creating opportunity. You've
Mhm.
created opportunity in the community. You've been a part of the chamber. You have been a part of movement. So, what would you say for that person, even in the real estate arena? They're trying to get their foot out. They want to like know how to start. What's the best way to start building authentic relationships in that realm?
Well, I just want to piggyback off what Miss Duncan just shared. I mean, you can't reinvent the wheel. Your network. I think it's no secret. We've all heard your net worth is, a composition of your network. And so I think it's very important that we start with our inner circle, especially like if we're launching a business or even if you need help. Start with your inner circle, see what relationships you have there, but then don't be afraid to get outside of your comfort zone. And I think that's a big issue, especially in the minority community, being that we're all minorities. Women are, period. But, we're all Black women on the panel today, or right now at least. And so it's just really important as Black women learn to get out of your comfort zone. Um, I don't know if you all heard that slogan, the squeakiest wheel, or what is it? The wheel that makes the most noise, get the most oil, or something like that.
Mm.
So I always had this belief that if you get your business card or your information in front of the most people, you'll get the most contracts. So you have to network. I just, there's no other way to put it. You have to always network. You should never want to be the one that knows the most in the room. You should always be willing to grow and learn. And to me, outside of business, that's just the whole point of life. Like, we should be evolving and learning and growing. And so that's my advice. Network for sure.
That's a word right there with that
Mhm.
squeaky wheel. You sound like me. I'll remix a quote in a heartbeat, but it's like, but you get the gist. If you can just unapologetically get loud. And something you talked about just now, too, is what are you doing in your own backyard? Like, and I love that you talked about the national media attention that I've gotten. Like, I've been so blessed to be on many national media platforms. I've covered national events, international platforms at this stage. I even at one time was working with a PR strategist outside of the UK. And I will never forget when the trajectory changed for me around like media coverage and those things. It was when I was being taught to start local. Like, don't discount your local news, your local newspaper, that friend that has a podcast, that, cousin that's launched a group. A lot of times when we can hone our skills and learn and value any audience, more opportunity is naturally going to come. And you never know, you could be one connection away from one of the biggest breakthroughs in your life just by being that squeaky wheel. I'm about to make another shirt, the squeaky wheel shirt, because it really, that is such a powerful quote. I want to keep it going because I know another thing that I hear a lot of women have shared, that they want to build the multiple income streams. They want to leave a legacy. They want to build wealth that's going to sustain and last. And you both have been able to powerfully show up in multiple spaces, to be multifaceted and not just one thing. So I'll start with you, Dr. Brunson. What would you say has been maybe like what's a tip for that person that is feeling like they got 50,000 visions right now and they just want to be successful and kind of like hone it? How do you show up bold in multiple areas?
Well, I made a little list of my best advice and I saved it because I didn't know when would it apply. And I think now is a good time. And so first, you got to learn to have patience. And so
Mhm.
that's a biggie for me. I'm like so impatient. But a lot of times, just being patient, being observant of those around you, that's a part of like what I said earlier. You have to be willing to grow. So be patient, be observant, being mindful of the energy that you keep around you. I myself personally like have been tested in that way in the past year, and so that's what I came up with. On your journey, you just have to be mindful of the energy that's around you, and then also having a basic knowledge of your needs and your desires before you're connecting with people and before you're making
Mhm.
networks. Like, know what you're bringing to the table. Don't always be so, hey, I need your help. What can you do this for me, or can you buy this from me? But consider how what you're offering helps the other person, and just, making connections like that.
Mm. Here's a quote that comes to mind for me when you just said that too. I have a mentor. Shout out to Corliss Udwema. And she has these words of wisdom. And one of them is, if you want miracles in your life to confess, start praying to God, who can I bless? And that's so good what you just said, because too often we're always looking, or we can feel like we need to find people to support us. But when you go out and look for enough other people that you can support, you'll start seeing doors open. So, Yasmin, can you talk about that? Because you have been a community activist, you've worked in a full-time, successful career, and you showed up and was leading, an Amplify Her chapter. So I'm like, how do you do it all? How do you, make that balance to show up?
Absolutely. I think it starts with strategy, right? Like, I'm definitely a creative. I'm definitely that person that has like 100 ideas of different things that I want to do that I can tap into. But what I had to learn is focus on one lane that is going to branch and make way and openings for the rest of what you want to do, right? So
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, if I work my way up the ladder in HR, I could have a pretty lucrative career, and that would help to support the other business ventures that I want to do. So that was kind of like the lane that I focused on, to give me the resources, network with people on my way up. As I'm working in HR, I'm going to networking events after, either for HR or women events or women empowerment events in the different boroughs in New York City, so that I can meet people and see what they do and see how their movements are, or look at how other movements or companies, even women companies, are structured. Like, how do I want to be set up? Right. That's a part of my strategy. Once I can figure out what do I want to do and what my lane is, which I did, HR, right? Then what are the branches that I wanted to have? I want to have a woman empowerment movement. I want to get into real estate. Haven't got there yet, but I'm getting there next year. I want what are the other branches? So as far as like establishing sisterhood, and when I wanted to do that branch, I was able to lean into the women that I networked with, right? Who they knew, the resources that they had, how could I get started, how do I set up paperwork, etc. So that one lane, and deciding and landing on what is the lane that is going to branch out everything else. From there, I created a strategy to work backwards. What do I want my impact to be, my legacy to be?
Mm.
Who's my target audience? Black women. What do they need? Make that list. Okay, how would I create a platform to provide these things? So how I like to set up goals and make plans is have the end in mind, and look at the end and then work backwards to where I'm currently, and that's how I can make my steps to get to the end. So having that strategy is how you could set yourself up with multiple streams of income and being multifaceted in various businesses.
That's a mic drop moment. And I will shout out. I need this in my everything I shout out. I'm like, and go to this store, but I get no credit for this one. It's a book called The One Thing, and it's exactly what you said, Yasmin. Like,
Hmm.
when we can reverse engineer. Oh, I love the cameos.
No.
I love the cameos. That's my favorite part. We talked about this yesterday, but so the one thing, reverse engineering, it has you to look far out. But I want to talk about the cameos because I was going to get into that anyways, because all three of us can relate to being in relationships or being, a leader, being, whatever that is, even the role of mom we were talking about. Because Monica, I love to keep talking about Monica because she was the first one that gave us our first cameo. Then a speaker, Shelby, almost gave us one. And my son Joshua, I have 4 kids now, but my son Joshua, I remember one time he like popped up, and I'm like, when I look back on it, I was just so mad that I didn't let him like speak because I can't get that day back. And I was just like,
Mm.
man. So I love when I love when the kids come on. So I want to talk about that balance because I feel like we've all overcome even relationship challenges, everything. And loss, it's like, even though you're going through grief, even if you're going through a breakup, even if you're going through whatever you might be going through, you still, well, you don't have to, but I feel like I will say for every woman up here today, I know all three of us, I've seen where we have all continued to show up in spite of. So
Mhm.
I want to start with you, Yasmin. What advice would you give to someone that maybe like life is a little chaotic right now and they're feeling like they can't show up? What tips do you have, like how you've been able to show up no matter what's going on behind the scenes?
Ooh, I got chills. Okay, you know I was the one that asked this question, right? So when I birthed, when God dropped in my spirit that I was supposed to have this platform, Sisterhood, I was just coming out of surgery. It was while I was in the hospital, just coming out of surgery, fibroid surgery. I was also in the midst of, in the process of getting a divorce. And now you want me to go into a platform? You know, you could just count on Jesus to tell you that you're going to be the number one runner of the world and you don't got no legs. You know, that's
Right.
exactly when you get those callings. So I think when life is happening, it's important to, at least what I learned, allow your pain to be your purpose and allow your pain to be your message. And that's something that I had to get through, right? It's like, wait, you want me to tell all my business?
Right.
And then I literally got these downloads like, well, it's not really your business. I just gave you a story to go tell other people because you got to help them set them free, like how I helped you get free. So I allowed my pain to be my message and my story of deliverance, right? Of when you're dealing with the challenges in life, leaning into that, allow yourself to feel it all. And so you can heal, be vulnerable in that time, go to therapies. And I'm a Christian, so I spend time with God. I lean into the word. I meditate on that, right? And I also always knew that where I was temporary, even though it felt so permanent and it felt so overwhelming. And I also knew that what I was going through wasn't even about me, even though I was the one in it. I was the one experiencing it, but it wasn't about me. It was about the women that I was divinely appointed to meet, to let them know, here's your how-tos. Here's how you get through this. Here's how you manage through this. So journaling, therapy. Sure, you could speak to friends, but sometimes you need the unbiased advice. You got to be wise about what you're sharing, right? And
Yes.
also not forgetting about your dreams and the things that you feel called to, the things you feel destined to do and purpose to do. That kept me. I didn't understand how I was supposed to help build women up when I was at the lowest point in my life. But I have to tell you, in that valley season, um, it was like rose just birthed from the concrete. I got to establish healthy relationship with myself, reinvigorate my self-esteem, redefine the woman that I wanted to be, and also be clear about how to not get back to where I was, right? I got to reset my standards and reestablish my boundaries. And I created a strategy and a plan for my life. I'm talking about strategy for like your dreams, but you got to strategize for your development, your self development. So I made that internal plan to work through. That's how you do
That's good. Listen, I feel like I almost forgot we were streaming. I feel like I'm at a cafe right now with y'all too. I'm like, I'm leaning back, about to listen. So it's the organization for me, sis. Dr. Brunson over there, she got notes. She's hitting us with bullet points. I'm
it.
loving it. So my question, my next question to you is what advice would you give to someone to continue to show up? Because today is all about showing up. Even when they're being faced with adversity. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know we were going to be touching on these type of topics. So that's why I had to take notes because I'm like, ooh, let me be
I
mindful
love it.
of how I say things. Right now, I'm actually going through a divorce, and it's very like devastating for me. But what I've decided to do is, like you said, sometimes your pain can fuel your passion, and so I'm just working on self development and standing up and owning it. And so the
Mhm.
biggest lesson I learned was that we should have put God first. And so I think if I say that, I'm not pointing the finger or anything. I'm just standing up and owning it. We both could have put God first. And so now I'm just learning through the trials just how to be patient, self control, because you really can't control others, their feelings, or um, how they respond, but you can control yourself. And especially when you're, um, are in the public, and not even that, we have kids and a family. So you gotta watch how you act because your kids are watching. And then it's like, man, God, did you really have to put this on me right now while I'm in the middle of my goals or whatever? And so God will humble you at any moment, is what I'm learning. And
Yes.
so you just got to stay focused on your goals, be patient. And, that's where I'm at, trying to process everything. And what I'm going to be working on is a building her foundation platform. Um, Now that I'm going through divorce, I'm thinking about my future and how do I move forward. And so basically, staying focused on what were the goals for me and my children, making sure they're safe. And then, if I ever have a future in the romance department, I want to come to the table like with myself organized. I don't want to come with bad situations. And so I want to work all that out. And I'm going to be developing something big with real estate through this Building Her Foundation, because you really don't even need to go through a divorce. I mean, technically, before you get married, as women, we need to have our foundations in place so that when we do get married, that we're bringing things to the table and we're not being a family burden, but that we can be a team, a collaborative team, and not compete, but come together. So that's where I'm at. And I will be using my pain to just further fuel my passion. And my overall message, I think, with this is just, if you don't put God first, He doesn't care what you have going on. He's going to give you the opportunity to pick a side. Like, hey, yeah, you may get so far without me, but if you come over here, it could be a little more better. So that's where I'm at.
That's a message right there. I'm loving it. I love the conciseness too of how you speak, and you have inspired me so much. You both have, because just the way that you continue to show up, and it's not about making it look easy. It's about, I ain't quitting, so I'm gonna keep going, whether it looks easy or not.
Mhm.
And one of the things that you talk about too is just keeping God at the forefront. I feel like we're in a season, and I've shared this with a few people, but I know for certain, and I know in my own experience, that when we allow God's hand to be on what we're being called to, what we're doing, God is such a restorer. And when he restores a thing, and this is a quote, I want to say Tiffany Montgomery has said this, I've heard her say this too, that he just restores and things move quickly. But not just Tiffany has said that, literally the Bible talks about that. Like, I'm going to restore years, and it can happen in a matter of weeks, and it can happen in a matter of months. And so I believe for a lot of women that are tapped into this conference and are part of the summit, y'all on this panel, God is restoring things so quickly that you might think it was going to be another 5 years for the right person to come back to your life, or the business idea, or the audience to grow, or whatever it is. And God can do it in an instant. So I love that y'all both pointed that out. So I want to talk about this table, because I believe you both bring so much to the table. And I've heard so much, like, when you don't get invited with a seat, build your own table. Y'all sitting at the table, building tables, y'all all over the table. So I want to get into like your area of expertise. I want to start back with you, Dr. Brunson. When it comes to the real estate industry and someone that wants to get in investing or just taking that leap, what's some of your advice, or even your experience having built you literally, you done built the table 5, 10, 20, 30 times. So what advice do you have on that?
Yeah, so when it comes to real estate, again, I can refer back to something Miss Duncan just said. I think she said next year she's going to start considering real estate.
Yeah.
And I'm not a professional analyst. I'm not even an accredited investor yet. I actually am closer to being an accredited investor than I ever have been. But I will say, you, Miss Lady, gave great advice. I would say that next year is a awesome time to get started in real estate. I'm going to give you a personal testimony back on what I said before. I kind of got started due to the recession from 2008, which I think we're all in the same age range. So that would be the first recession we all experience in our adult lives.
Mhm.
And so fast forward, you're saying next year you want to invest. Well, a lot of people are saying we're in a recession right now. And so unfortunately, a lot of people are going to start losing things. And when people lose things, sometimes that opens an opportunity for others to gain. And you have to be mindful. If you do go into real estate investing, you could be one of those. Some investors don't care; they're sharks. A family may be in a house and they just need $5,000 to get out the mortgage, and they don't want it on their name. So some investors will just go, "Oh, let me just get this," knowing it's $100,000 house. Let me get his family 5,000, so it's not on their name. But I don't do things like that. I have a conscience, so I actually choose properties that have already gone through the foreclosure property. They're already possibly destroyed, vandalized. But during the recession, right afterwards, that's when the real estate market has a bigger surplus of foreclosures because, hard times, people lose things. And so I say that to say it's a great time to consider for those who are financially stable or do have a little extra money, even though it's a recession. Next year could be a great time for you to get started, because once these banks and these counties and these sheriff's offices, they have a surplus of property that they're getting, they're really not looking to make a big profit. Believe it or not, when these different entities hold these properties, they're liabilities to them because they're not renting them out, and they just took them back as a repo, basically, under the foreclosure property process. And so they just want to get some money and get it off their books. So if you want to start investing in real estate, get your money together right now, because next year there's going to be things on the market. Um, I came back to South Carolina roughly around 2014. And that last recession was from like 2008 to 2010. But the market was so backlogged, there was still inventory sitting and waiting. And so I was getting properties $5,000, 16,000, 7,000. That whole block that I got, I started, the first part that I got was from recession situation. And so I paid 60,000. Then I got the other half, 40,000. And so those numbers, you may not see those in a healthy market. Like now, that same house that I had for 16,000, it ended up selling for 50,000. And like a piece of land, I paid 3,000 for. I sold it for 15,000. And so getting involved in real estate, especially when the market is going down, can actually be a great time for you to leverage your future. And so I just want to say, Miss Duncan, I'm following your advice. Next year, I'm going to be buying more property too. So you guys are interested, or you ladies, definitely get my information later. And, I will chop it up about real estate, because I'll get to talking and rambling for hours. So,
And we'll get to
I,
listening and listening and taking
Yes.
notes.
Yes. Thank you for that. It's awesome.
Yes. I love it. Okay. So Yasmin, and by the way, if you're listening right now and you're like, please don't let her get off without telling us, I promise you, everyone's information is available. Y'all see the link underneath, Amplify Her Movement. I will make sure in the coming days and keep it up there where you can learn about our speakers, go to their websites, get in contact, enroll in programs. I know Dr. Brunson, you have books, resources. Y'all follow her, whatever you got to do to get plugged in, because she is such a wealth of knowledge. Both of them are two powerhouses. So y'all are welcome for the women on this platform, just bringing all these nuggets. So Yasmin, can you talk to us too? I think it's incredible how you spoke about that, being in that place in your corporate role and seeing that, hey, this is something I'm actually going to leverage. And I say this all the time. If you have a full-time job, do not be ashamed. I don't care what this online space teaches. That is your sponsor. It literally can sponsor your moves in your business, if you're able to. And we all have a different path, so I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. But can you talk about that, the power of leveraging your now blooming where you're planted. So how has that
Mhm.
opened up opportunities for you, and what advice do you have on that?
Absolutely. It's interesting how life works out because I was going to school once I landed on what I wanted to do, I was going to be a school guidance counselor in a high school. I wanted to be a high school guidance counselor. That was like my goal. And then I did an internship and I was like, no, this is not what I'm purposed to do. I can't be with kids, well, at least not teenagers. So then I got into HR, and HR truly has informed my life. It informs the decisions that I make, even down to dating, you know. If I wouldn't hire you, would I date you? So it's really
That's
interesting.
good.
My friendships, my relationships. You know, when
Oh,
you look, when you think about when you interview a candidate, that level of assessment that you're doing, why would I have a lesser assessment for someone I'm dating? So HR has informed my life, my decisions, how I operate. And in HR as a leader, what am I looking for? Like what is my superpower? I can quickly identify the strengths in people. I can quickly identify the areas that should, if they wanted to pursue, they would thrive in, and how, right? How they can leverage their strengths. As an HR leader, we develop people. My goal is to get you from point A to point B with a plan, with a strategy. So that's my superpower. And knowing that that's something that I've honed over time in HR throughout the years, I leverage that in Sisterhood Society. I mean, Black women still at the corporate seat are still not making like, what is
Mhm.
it, 45, less than 50 cents on a dollar
Wow.
compared to what white counterparts are making or white males are making, right? And
Right.
being able to build myself up in my career to now be in the C-suite. It's very interesting when I meet people because it's like you're in the C-suite? Yes, I'm in the C-suite. You know, I've been an executive for a few years now, but when I meet candidates, or even sometimes when I meet new counterparts who may join the company, you get the, oh, oh, you are the executive, or you
Mhm.
know, I want to broaden the space by using those strategy skills to bring people of color to the table, which that is my goal, regardless of what the mission is. I got to have my own internal mission, right? Wherever I work. And then also, how can I support women in getting the skills internally, emotionally, from an actual tactical aspect of, where are you today? What areas do you need to grow in? And get those resources together for women who come into the sisterhood community to use and to leverage. So we have coaches in our network. We have, even if we have anyone who is a new mother, and their child has neuro disabilities or challenges that they're navigating, we have a coach for that. We have life coaches, right? We have if you're trying to set up a nonprofit formation, coaches, professional coaches, even a coach for, shout out to Courtney. Yes, conference coming up, but she's even a coach for HR leaders. We want
Mhm.
to provide these resources so that Black women can thrive at work, can get a seat at the table, and be impactful while they're there. It would be a disservice to myself and my community, now that I do have a seat at the table, that I'm there quiet, that I'm there docile, because I don't want to be considered aggressive or too much or too passionate.
Right.
No, I'm here because I'm qualified. I'm here because I'm called. I'm capable. And this doesn't make sense, and I'm calling it out, but there's a way to do it where I'm still keeping my countenance, right? But I'm walking and standing in my command. You can
Yeah.
do both. And so to be that example also, as a Black woman in that arena, is huge.
That's like, that was at least 30 mic drop moments. Something you said too, and I need you to like make a note of this, find you some relationship expert, y'all collaborate on, if I wouldn't hire you, why would I date you?
Mm.
That's a word. I
You know,
think of
that
all
should
the
be.
red flags there. Listen, I used to actually do supported employment, and I can look at most any resume and identify every red flag. That person's going to quit early. That person's going to be aggressive on the job. That person is going to get along with the coworkers, just by looking at, time spent on the job, feedback, references. I had to get trained on that and become like an expert, because I needed retention whenever I'm recruiting people. How much more if you're bringing this person to your household and starting a union with them? Yasmin, you just that was that was an aha moment. So I want to circle back because I swear I could talk to y'all for a minute. Like I feel like we're literally sitting together at a cafe, but I won't get greedy. But I do want to go around and just wrap up with what is that final legacy, that word of wisdom that you hope any audience gets from you, and then let us know like what do you have right now on the horizons? How can we support you? Get connected. So let's start with you, Dr. Brunson. What are some of those? What do you want us to leave with today? Any final tips, and how can we support you?
Yeah, so again, just because we're here collaborating, and I just listened to what Miss Duncan had to say, a seat at the table. That was like really, really powerful for me. I am with the Sumter Black Chamber of Commerce, a nonprofit that I co-founded, and we actually have a new program called A Seat at the Table. And
Mm.
so I just found that powerful because that's actually what made me want to start like talking about what I was doing versus just buying real estate and holding it in. Um, it was when I first became top 20 under 40, a young professional the first time. I was sitting at the table and I looked around and there was like really no one there that looked like me or had a background like me. And I really felt uncomfortable. And that's what made me become vocal about real estate. It was just that, man, I'm at the table and I know there should be some other folks here with me. And so I just think in the minority community, especially, we need to get out of that thought of, oh, if I tell them how I did this, now they're going to possibly take away from my business. Like, no, stop thinking like that. Collaboration is key. While you're moving forward, like, reach back. Because usually for minorities to even get recognized, and especially nationally, like, that's rare. So if you're telling 100 minorities, you're not going to stop where you are or what God has planned for you. And then when you're sitting at these tables, you don't have to feel uncomfortable because now it may potentially be somebody else in the room that looks like you or come from where you come from. So my advice is just start bringing other people to the table with you, and that's
Mhm.
and
That's so
so
good.
that's why I do what I do. And you can follow me on Instagram at Angel Bucks. Or no, excuse me. That's my cleaning company. I have multiple companies. So do not follow me on my cleaning company or you'll be following toilets. But if that interests you, follow the toilets is there. But no, if you want to learn about real estate investing, follow me at CEO Princess of Realty. So it's CEO underscore Princess of Realty. And so I just started getting back on social media actually because I don't know, I was going through a lot personally with personal development. And so I had just been posting my accomplishments only and not too many lectures on real estate how I used to do. So I'm going to start getting back to that real estate knowledge sharing. Like I said, I have something coming out, building her foundation, and it's going to be geared more towards like getting women involved. And then if you are in the Sumter area and you happen to be watching this, or if you're in Florence, South Carolina, so Sumter, South Carolina, or Florence, South Carolina, and you may want to launch a business or you have an idea, but you don't have a location, I'm looking to collaborate with a few individuals on a business. Maybe we can partner and come 50-50. I have space, you got an idea, we go 50-50 and come up with a product. And so if something like that sounds interesting to you, um, I am not looking to be the key person. So you could be our marketer. You could be the forefront, the person who everybody is seeing. Send me an email at urban, URBAN, property, that's one property, firm, FIRM, at gmail.com. And in the subject, just put business pitch. And just put a little something. You don't have to tell me too much, but just let me know, hey, I have something. Can I come schedule a time to talk to you? I know you got space, and I need space, and I don't have the startup capital to do it big. But collaboration, we can come together, and I'm just looking for a little interest in to bring something to my block. And you may be just looking for space. So if you're interested, you're in Sumter. Also, you can use that email too if you're just wherever you are. Uh, I wouldn't say worldwide. I have experience investing in real estate in West Indies, Jamaica. So I have some connects there to get property at auctions. I can give you advice on property there. And then also in the United States, I've only been investing on the East Coast, but it's pretty much the same process United States wide. And so, if you're looking for some property, also right now because of my divorce, I'm not buying anything else. So if you're looking for something, I may be able to point you in the direction of some good deals. So you can send me an email, and in the subject line, if you're looking for deals, put a cash buyers list, and that way I know you have money to buy, and we can
I
connect
love
like that.
that. I love it. Thank you so much. I feel like that right there was its own masterclass. Like, I'm like, you got to come back. We're going to be doing some series and amplify
Yes.
her. I need Build Her highlighted. I
Mhm.
need Sisterhood Society highlighted. Like both of y'all, I would love for y'all to continue to share on the platform. Shout out to Natasha, who is coming in. She said loving/locking in from London. I love that this summit has been global. So again, if you're tuning in
Mhm.
right now and you know that something's resonating with you, it's encouraging you, make sure you hit the share button wherever you're watching. Drop like 50 emojis, keep the message going, and go to amplifyhermovement.com to learn more about our speakers. So, Yasmin, tell us, what's that final word of wisdom that you would have for everyone watching, and how can we get connected and support what you're doing?
Absolutely. This has just been a blessing, Erica. I have to tell you, thank you so much. Dr. Bronson. I'm definitely going to be reaching out. Thank you.
Me too.
Appreciate it. We're connecting. Um, I would say for me, so I took some notes. Your now isn't forever.
Mm,
I have to tell you, like, I know I mentioned the divorce. That was the lowest place that I've ever been. But when I could tell you all of those feelings that I felt in every place that I was internally and emotionally is so far from me, I can't even recognize it.
mm,
And I just want to encourage you, Dr. Bronson, once you come on the other side of the mountain, wow. Like where I look at how far the Lord brought me, I could have never
mm,
anticipated that I'd be here, that I'd be, a chief people officer, that I'd live in my dream home where I've always wanted to live from a child, literally 5 years old is where I live now. The friends that I have, the life that I live, and how colorful it is. And it's because I never gave up. So I
mm.
just want to say, never gave up on me and on what I know that I was destined to do, which is to have this movement supporting women in a real way, in a sisterhood way, and establishing this community. So now is not forever. Self-development is key. Listen, when 2020 happened, I feel like everybody became a CEO. Everyone started all these businesses. And listen, you should pursue your goals and what you want to do. But let me tell you something. Entrepreneurship, it's not easy. It's a lot. Sisterhood actually went on a hiatus for like 2 years. We just relaunched. So definitely check out the site. It's Sisterhood Society, WOC.org. That's Sisterhood Society, WOC.org. We are going to be having events. We have in real life, so meetups, etc. Of course, we have hopes and dreams to have a virtual conference like this and even an in-person conference one day. But we like to bring the community together that people could just come and convene. So stay tuned for that. As I said, entrepreneurship isn't easy. So, in order to survive and thrive in whatever it is that you're trying to pursue or do, you need to self develop, right? You need to
Yes.
build your emotional intelligence. You need to build your patience. You need to build your strategy. You need to build your level of self awareness to know when, you know what, I'm taking on too much. I need rest. I need to take a break. I need to meditate. self-development and knowing who you are and having those internal tools is how you will sustain the journey of entrepreneurship. So I stress self-development, and then also have a strategy. Working in HR has helped to inform my life. So I don't just strategize at work. I've taken that tool of strategizing. I do that with the sisterhood, and I brought that to my dream. And I do that with women to help them get back on track, to help them to have a plan. And then I do it like with my own life. So it's not just 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about the next 6 months. What do I need to get done by the end of the year? That's what I'm tracking for, right? Because life changes. And also identify your differentiating like factor, right? There's a lot of things out. Everybody has a business, everybody has a movement. There was so many women empowerment movements. I'm like, really? I'm gonna be like the millionth women empowerment movement. Is this something that I want to do? What's our difference? Our difference is it's not an event that you come and leave. It's ongoing community, it's ongoing support. There's coaches, there's resources, the list goes on, and it's an actual sisterhood. So I said, you know what? I may be the millionth person, but so what? If God gave it to me, He's going to give me the tools to shine and thrive with it. So those are the things that I would say. Don't give up on you. This has been phenomenal.
I love it. And it's Sisterhood Society, WOC.org, right?
Yep, WC.org. Oh, we're here for like we do podcast features, virtual conferences, in-person motivational speaking, the whole 9 yards. Just
I love it.
Back page.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. You both are just trailblazing powerhouses. I'm so thankful that you took time out to be on today, to share, to drop the wisdom nuggets. I'm just very grateful because I know that there are women in Amplify Her. You're listening right now. And something you just said, Yasmin, many of you might be thinking today is Stand on Your Story. And I'm talking about how to show up, how to keep showing up. Don't stop showing up, right? And you might be thinking, like Yasmin just said, like, oh, well, there's another one already doing it. Like, I live in the birthplace of Pepsi, and I promise you, it didn't stop Coca-Cola, from showing up. You never know, like, who needs to hear it from you. It can be the same message that someone else shared. They need to hear it from you because you look like them, or you had something in common with them, or y'all went through something similar, and the other person teaching it it won't resonate the same. So my goal for you today, and you're going to hear 2 other sessions. I get country every now and then. You're going to hear these 2 other sessions, but they're happening. We have 2 more sessions left before we wrap the summit. So today is all about standing on your story. If you have not been a part of it, go back. You can take a listen. We have expanded our reach. We have increased our voice. And today we're standing on our story. And y'all just heard from 2 absolute powerhouses, Yasmin, Dr. Elaine. And we are turning messages into movements, and I mean it. So if you have a movement and you know you're ready to stand out and share your story, make sure that you go to increaseyourvoice.com so you can step on stage at our next event. That's all we got for y'all today. I could keep talking, but I'm going to let them go because I know they have places to be and things to do. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you in the next session today at 5 Eastern. Take care.